Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and I'm going to be talking about CD-ROMs from my childhood, which is my new hyperfixation. I've been spending hours on YouTube going through walkthroughs of my favorite childhood CD-ROMs from the 90s to early 2000s. I was born in 95, so that's it's kind of the period, the era of the CD-ROM. And then once I started, getting, turning like 9, 10, I think I started getting more on the internet. But when I was a small child, we didn't really use the internet. I don't think that we had it at home. And so my computer entertainment was all CD-ROM. And I played a lot of CD-ROM games. So this is my gamer era, because I didn't end up, I'm not a gamer now, I don't, I haven't gamed since age 10, you could say. I did play some online simulation games, which I think is kind of a late millennial, early Gen Z kind of thing, where that's the kind of thing that was on the internet at that time, was a lot of simulation games, which I found to be the best because I didn't want to live real life, so living in the computer was great. But you'll find out that the CD-ROMs that I liked best were the ones that included some kind of simulation, like gardening, or if you would have in the kitchen, that kind of thing. This video will be split in 2 parts because the first part will be about American and French CD-ROM content, and then I'll make a separate one for the real ones about Swedish media. Because I had CD-ROMs from all three countries, the US, France, and Sweden. So first we'll start with the American ones, because that's what you guys are here for, I think. So the first one, first of all, I got a lot of these through Serial Package, because they would give you free CD-ROMs from CD packets, which from Serial Packages, which really is weird. I think that they lost a lot of money on that, but that's what I did. And so the most basic ones were some of the best, to be honest. One of them was Monopoly Junior, which I really like to play. I played the board game Monopoly Junior and the CD-ROM. Love the animations in the Monopoly Junior. And I like to play the physical game, but then once I started getting older and we started playing the adult Monopoly, like the real one, I realized, like, this is not fun anymore. Monopoly Junior is purely chance. And yeah, Monopoly Adults is just terrible. Monopoly is supposed to be telling you about the horrors of capitalism, and it really is horrible. And my dad also would never let me win. Like, he would play against me like I was an adult, which really stressed me out because I didn't understand anything. And, he would like put his, like, he would do all of these like manipulation strategies to like figure out what were the best things. And obviously he would win and I would lose, and I would get sad. So my dad wasn't the best person to play Monopoly with. But so Monopoly Junior was just such a chill experience like in comparison. And there were these mini games that you would get if you ended up on another person's, like if you have to pay because you landed on somebody else's house. Then you would get to play a mini game. So it wasn't all that bad. Even if you like kind of were losing, you were actually having fun playing the mini games. So there was one mini game where you were in a helicopter and like catching these ducks. Another one where there was like in the haunted house where you had to catch the ghosts. And yeah, I just found it to be a fun game. Then we've got Shoots and Ladders, which is also a board game, I guess, that has been adapted. This one was fun because you could choose your own character and the color of clothes that your character had, but also the kids were different ethnicities and totally different characters. And then you would have, you could play in the park, the zoo, or the circus. And it was funny because they would, like, if you ended up on the ladder, that means that you get to go up, and that's good. So that means they will give you like a little animation video of something good that your character did. Or like kind of a good tip for life, you know, a good morals. Like, oh, your character left his spot for an old lady on the park bench, or helped the ducks cross the street, or something like that. Helped untie the snake that has apparently the snake had tied itself up into knots at the zoo. So there was those kinds of things, and then if you got on a snake, then that means that you were losing, right? And so the snake would be something bad that your character did, or something silly that the character did. So, for example, your character has trampled the flowers, and so that means that you fall down on a snake. So I found that to be really fun, and so I was playing all these serial games, and the best game that I got, then I got Spyfox, not really my thing, but then the favorite game I got was Amazon Trail 3rd, which later on, as I got older, my dad actually bought Oregon Trail, which was, I think it was like the 2nd edition of Oregon Trail, which was really difficult for me, and I really needed my dad to help me with the Oregon Trail because I would keep dying of dysentery and malaria, and it was awful. It was really awful. But Amazon Trail was more of a fun, chill game, even though sometimes I needed my dad to help me on that one too. Because Amazon Trail was really fun in that you would paddle a canoe and like try to avoid the logs that were on the Amazon river, and then you would harpoon different like you would fish for fish, and you would like study the fish, and then you could also look for certain animals in the rainforest, and like I really wanted to find a jaguar, but there were also like the tapir, and there were the anteater, and there were all sorts of animals, monkeys and toucans, and I just found it really exciting. And then you would interview different people along your trip from Brazil to Peru, and there would be different historical figures that had something to do with the rainforest, and some were good people and some were not as good people. One of them was Henry Ford, because he was using the rubber from the trees to make his tires for his cars. I remember him for some reason. And then there were, I think that you could like study butterflies. I don't know if it was butterflies or if it was birds. I think it was butterflies. And you could like, there was all sorts of stuff like that. And you could talk to these people, and then they would give you like a piece of the puzzle, and at the end, if you'd talk to all the people on the way, then you became like King Jaguar or something. You got like this trophy. But what I found that was the best was at the end you got to speak to like these native Peruvian people. I don't know if it was the Incas, but or if it was Maya. Now I feel uncertain. but please tell me in the comments who it is. But they one of their traditions was to create like tapestry of knots, and the knots would be telling the history of their tribe, and they were multicolored knots, and I just found that so beautiful and such a great piece of culture. So it was fun, but there was this one interaction that you would have to have near the end. I don't know exactly where it was, but there was one man who was a conquistador, and he wanted to manipulate you into becoming his slave. And it's like, I don't know why they had him. Like, I was so scared that I would inadvertently like choose the wrong dialogue option, which would make him kidnap me forever, and I would be stuck in the Amazon rainforest with this guy and having to do his bidding for the rest of my life. I was so scared of this guy. So I would have to call my dad every time that guy came. Because yeah, you would get these random encounters, but it was always the same encounters, but I knew that this guy was really scary. So that was the best thing that I got out of a cereal package. However, the thing that I really wanted to get out of the cereal packages was Zoo Tycoon. I never got Zoo Tycoon from a cereal package, and I actually asked my dad, or I asked Santa Claus for Zoo Tycoon because my cousins got Zoo Tycoon for Hanukkah one year, and I really wanted Zoo Tycoon. So the next year I asked my dad. I had been dreaming all year about Zoo Tycoon because I got to play a little bit at my cousin's house. And then when Christmas Day came, I was all disappointed because I didn't get Zoo Tycoon. And my dad explained to me that it wasn't possible on our computer operating system. And I was like, can't Santa Claus like change the game so that it can be played onto our computer system? And my dad was like, no. He was like, no. And then he acted as if he had talked to Santa or something. He was like, no, Santa knows that about our operating system problem. So that's why I never got to play Zoo Tycoon. That's that. Because we never bought any games really. It was like The Sims was a kind of a thing and all that, but I never played The Sims. I only played it at other people's houses. So I had all of these free cereal box games, which were really fun. But then I had more educational games. So when I was very small, there were the Living Books range, which were Just Me and My Dad, Grandma and Me, which were Little Critter, and then there were Little Monster, and Arthur's Teacher Trouble, and Arthur's Computer Adventure. Arthur's Computer Adventure was the best out of all of these. But all of these were kind of like, they would read a story for you, and then you would click on little animations. Oh, also Cat in the Hat. There were little animations, and they had tons of animations on each page, and they would just be like little gags. And then you might have like a mini game in it. And so in Cat in the Hat, you would have to balance all these things in a ball, or you would have to catch thing one and thing two. But when it came to Arthur's Computer Adventure, it was the best because you got to go underwater and get a treasure chest and follow Arthur through sharks, and there would be jellyfish and all sorts of things. And that was the computer adventure. So you were playing Arthur, who is playing Arthur in his computer game. And what was funny about Arthur is that, then you would have a computer room. You know, it was kind of that time where the computer would be not in your room. Like you would have the family computer, and the family computer at first was in my parents' room, and then I don't know at what point my parents decided to move the computer into the living room. But you would like have to ask your parents to use the computer, and you weren't certain that you would be able to use the computer that day. Maybe you could use the computer once a week or something. At least that was how it was for me. And until I got a little bit older, and then I could play it a little bit more often, but it was always that your parents were around while you were playing. Then, you know, I would sneak sometimes and use the computer without my parents once I started getting old enough to figure out how to, you know, how to set it all up. But, you know, you couldn't really do it secretly because the computer was so loud, and like it would be in such a public area that it wasn't worth the thing. But Arthur basically destroys the computer by sneaking and playing the computer. And that was like my worst fear. I was like, oh no, I'm going to destroy the computer if I play on my own. So that was a good lesson there. I didn't touch the computer unless I asked my parents first after playing Arthur's Computer Adventure. So it had a lot of fun little mini games. I really liked it. Then we had Little Monsters, the Smelly Mystery, Special Agent Smelly Mystery, which I don't really remember much about, but I remember that it kind of scared me. But it was really fun. And then we've got Elmo's Preschool. I don't really remember this one at all much. But it was also similar in that it was educational, you were learning the letters, numbers, but you would also have these animations that were like, you know, you would click and there would be some little gag happening. But one of my favorites was Madeline's European travels, which were really fun, especially because she was from France. I really like Madeline. Because I was French, so I kind of related. And I remember she would have to go to different countries and get like these music boxes or something. And then she got some hot chocolates in Switzerland, and I really wanted that hot chocolate in Switzerland. And the art style was beautiful, and I think that it was really one of the most artistic ones out there. And so I really, really enjoyed Madeline's travels. And sometimes Madeline could be a little bit annoying in her personality, but she was really a good, like, kind, sweet girl underneath. And I really wanted to be like her. And so those were the American ones. Then we get to the French one that I've only done one series of the French ones, which was the Adibou series. Adibou 2, and Adibou Cuisine, which is the kitchen version, and then Adi, which is the version that is for like pre-teen kids. So Adibou was an alien elf guy, and he lives on another planet, and you could customize like his house, and there you had a garden that you could plant things in, and there was a robot that would plant the seeds and then would put the water on, and you could watch your garden grow in real time, which I really found really cool. And like you could plant flowers, and you could plant a lot of vegetables. There was a vegetable patch, and then you could feed the birds from the wheat that you got from your vegetable patch. Okay, so there was vegetables and there was wheat, basically. And then you could go to the kitchen, and in the kitchen you could make cakes. And if you follow the recipe correctly, then it would make a very beautiful cake that Adibou's dog would eat and be happy. But if you baked a cake that was just a mess, which is basically like putting tomatoes together with chocolate or something and putting it all together, then that would make a really lousy cake, and the lousy cake would go to a monster who was called Bouzigouloum, and Bouzigouloum would eat your terrible cake. And I always found that funny. Sometimes I would just make a terrible cake just to see the monster come around and eat my terrible cake. And there was a lot of like that you could kind of like paint, where you could like draw your pictures and put stickers on and all that, and dress up games and arcade games that were like mini games within it. And I thought that was so cool that you could customize and make like the like you could make the house into an igloo, or you could like change customize the things, and I just found it really fun. And then once you got into Adi, Adi was also an alien. I guess that he was like Adibou when he gets older, or maybe it's like his older brother. Maybe Adibou's brother is Adi, I don't know. But Adi, it was made later on, so it was more 3D kind of. And it was really cool that, of course, it was supposed to be educational, so you would have these exercises with math and French and stuff. But that wasn't the reason that I was playing it, right? But there were some science things that you could learn, because Adi was on a spaceship. So you had this own spaceship. The only thing is that you needed to get a premium package in order to like do most of the stuff in the game. So, but the best part was that you had your own room that you could decorate and do an ambience, and I would make mine like a mix of a woodland forest and of a fairy tale castle, or you could make it into more like a spaceship interior, and that was really cool at the time. Like that kind of grew my love of simulation games, because I really liked that. Then I had the Adibou Cuisine, which was the kitchen version, which was kind of an older version, like, or a version for older kids than Adibou 2, but that is, or that are younger, that are too young for Adi yet. Adibou Cuisine would be that you would make these recipes, and there was one part where Bouzigouloum was still around in this version, and Bouzigouloum, the monster, you would have to create like a training program for him, making sure that he would eat correctly and exercise correctly and not eat a lot of candy and just watch TV all day. So you would make him do these different tasks, and I just found it really fun, and I think that Adibou was a really good one, and it is from a French studio, so I will give the French credit for that. There was also Le Magicien d'Oz, which is the Wizard of Oz. I did that one. And then there was Tom Tom and Nana, and they're from a comic strip and animated series on French TV. Tom Tom and Nana, they're a brother and a sister. One of them is Tom Tom and the other one is Nana, and they are children of a restaurant owner. So they had a restaurant, and they kind of liked to play pranks, and they were kind of silly, and a lot of wacky things would happen. And I found it really funny because you would be part of their club, their Tum Tum and Nana club, and you would have 3 challenges to complete, and one of them was kind of like a penguin diner kind of situation, where you would have to rush between tables and be a server at the restaurant. But a bunch of wacky things would happen, like a bee would suddenly start like harassing the customers, or one of the customers would start shouting really loudly that this is terrible service, and another one would be really posh and also complain about the terrible service, and the other one would be like really sweet about it. And then somehow out of nowhere the menu would suddenly be scribbled all over on, and you would have to erase it while you're trying to do all of this. So I found it really, really fun. but it's a bit stressful. And then there was another challenge, which was that you were trying to make a haunted house, or like a haunted house party, to bring the ghosts in. And but there would be a pink bunny rabbit guy who would destroy all of your plans if you weren't quick enough. He would change your spooky decorations into cute bunny decorations, and then you would have to like shoo him away. And I always found that really funny. And the third part was where you had a dog who you had to give a bath to and put a bow in his hair. And he was like completely going against everything that you were doing. So you would have to stop the dog from running around or splashing water all over the place, or just completely refusing to put a bow in his hair. And I just found it to be just a fun thing, but that was obviously a little bit for older kids. So that's all about the American and French CD-ROMs that I liked to look at as a kid, and I like to play. There were that was all of it, I think, and but I would play these over and over and over again. So many hours of my life have been playing these games rather than actually interacting with the real world. So you could say that I grew up with the internet, even though, you know, we didn't have the internet at that time. You know, I was playing on like Windows 95, and then I think that we skipped directly to Windows XP, I think, and then we got Windows Vista. But I don't think that we got 98. I think that we skipped that one directly. I think that that's why I didn't get to play Zoo Tycoon, because I think that you needed to have Windows 98 or something. Anyway, I hope that you guys are having a great day. Tell me what you guys think. Is there any CD-ROM that you guys played when you were little? I'm going to be making a separate one about the Swedish ones, so head over there next if you are interested in that sort of thing. I like Pippi Longstocking and Moomin kind of stuff. So have a great day, everybody. Bye.